Shannon, would you like to start and give the report back?
Okay, great. Yeah, we had a discussion kind of on tool libraries in general. So 3 main takeaways. So the first one I would say is to look for partners in unexpected places. So both partnerships, so between like tool libraries and communities, and we talked about a few examples that you can see on the sticky notes here. So like the Federal Way Black Collective, Masonic lodges, um, some of the work done up in Vancouver with the Share Use Repair Initiative. So we talked about both partnerships external to tool libraries, and then a little bit about the tool libraries coming together. The second thing that we talked about was kind of the idea that tools are not the problem. So we talked a little bit about starting a tool library and how maybe people think, oh, what the tool library needs is tools, but really it's things like space and grants. And we shared some ideas on different ways to both, build enthusiasm before you open a tool library, as well as, how to keep it going. And then at the end, we were able to talk a little bit about the idea of equity in tool libraries and being able to reach out to, new communities, so immigrant communities, look at students and those that have the most critical needs. So I tried to capture a lot of the ideas here, so feel free to look back later. And if I misspelled anything, people please go in and correct or update or link to any of the programs that were mentioned. So I'll pass it off to 1B.
Tracy is going to be our reporter.
Okay, sure. It took me a minute to get to the screen for the Jamboard, but once I did, I kind of put up some Post-it notes of some of the high points of which each presentator shared. And Tara from Repair Cafe answered a common question of how do you match up people in, in the appliances, small appliances and electronics? How do you match up the person that brings in the item with an appropriate fixer? And they have 2 station stewards who work specifically with those issues of matching up the person with the item to the appropriate fixer and make sure those stations run really smooth. And a way that could help is that the station steward knows the skill set of the fixers. So it makes it a lot easier and smoother in those stations. And, sometimes the issue of people noticing somebody before them gets a fixer first and, oh, well, I've been waiting a long time and things like this. You just have to explain that your item may take a lot longer. It's more complicated. So those are real great ways to solve those issues, I think. And then Christina on the West Seattle bike tool library and bike repair. The emphasis was to bring the item in, like your bicycle in, and you should stay with the item and the fixer while it's being fixed, because it's she emphasized the importance of spreading the knowledge of repair and educating the people, and showed a little slide of a little girl's bike and beginning to educate the youngster on how to fix the bikes, or what even just open up the concept of learning how to fix something, which was important. And Cami brought up a startup guide, shared a startup guide that she has written up, or Zero Waste Washington is writing up. And instead of going through the laborious Repair Cafe manual, it's not, it may be laborious or not, but this is an easy guide, and she's going to offer that to anyone who's interested, and also shared with us a website that you could post your event and share a map, a calendar, and things like this. And this is all Zero Waste Washington. And the Repair Cafe, the name Repair Cafe and Fix It Fair, that topic came up on discussion about the importance of you know, the name getting out there, like people were confused about, oh, repair, what, cafe, what's that mean, you know? So that's, I guess, Zero Waste Washington has adopted Fix It Fair. And anyway, so those are the things that were discussed, and there was so much more to that it could lead to, but we ran out of time.
Thank you, Tracy. And the very last one is makerspaces. Oh, it looks
Okay, Neil, go for it.
Yeah. All right. So I think that we also ran out of time, but I'm going to take you sort of in reverse order because I think they were combined. We discussed the combinations, and it was asked about the combinations of tool libraries and fix-it events and makerspaces and the relationship between the three of them, and how the interdependencies that the different groups had, and how that might help or distract. And we found that they had a good relationship, and it really sort of attuned to the community to help themselves by having all three things going on. We talked about the different makerspaces were doing. Some of them were involved in training versus the involvement in the community of creating things. And that creation took a couple of different tacks, depending upon whether they were for-profit or not-for-profit, whether people were just coming out and sort of working on their own projects, or whether the facilities were using it as a revenue product. And then the last one, and in this case, the first one, the different models of organizations that were a for-profit and not-for-profit, and the way they operated as institutions, whether they were just there to sort of do things in the community, or whether they're actually trying to generate revenue by the actions that they were taking. And so different approaches, all of them have a place. We could see real viable solutions in many of the places for all these things, but it was an interesting the way the different places did it in different ways.